Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. They're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate?
Picture this. Mel Gibson steps in with the same intensity that made him a Hollywood legend, but this time there's no script, no stage, just raw frustration. Right beside him is Tyrus, built like a wall, carrying that heavyweight presence that makes every word hit harder. Together, they don't sound like critics making noise for attention. They sound like men who've seen enough and are tired of excuses.
We deserve much more and much better, and there is absolutely no adequate excuse the governor or mayor can make for this gross mismanagement and failure to preemptively deal with what they knew was coming. Was it incompetence? Was it indifference? Complacency? Carelessness?
Yes.
Was it negligence? Absolutely.
California today doesn't look like the dream it sells to the rest of the world. On paper, it's beaches, movies, and tech giants. In reality, it's a state where homelessness stretches from downtown LA sidewalks to suburban neighborhoods. Crime rates keep climbing, stores are locking basic items like deodorant behind glass, and entire communities live with the fear of wildfires that spark faster than the state can prepare. Add in skyrocketing rent and the cost of living that pushes families out, and you see why Gavin Newsom is in the hot seat. The problem is not that people don't know California has challenges. The problem is that Newsom acts as if the surface image is all that matters. He stands in front of cameras with slick hair and a smile, talking like a man rehearsing for a bigger stage. He gives long speeches about being a strong leader while Californians struggle to afford gas, housing, or even a safe walk at night. It's a contrast that can't be ignored. On the streets, it's chaos. On the screen, it's a theater. And more people are starting to see the difference.
This is personal with Mel, and it should be personal to everybody in Los Angeles. I lived there for decades. I would be furious with Gavin Newsom. And he comes out on TV and he just does his weird hand motions, and Donald Trump is making things worse, and Donald Trump is doing this like he's doing the hand jive from a 1950s musical. It's not gonna cut it, and good for Mel for standing up for everybody in Southern California.
During the wildfires, when entire communities were burning, Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass insisted they had it all under control. But the reality on the ground told a different story. Families were evacuating, homes were being lost, the air was choking people miles away from the flames. And instead of owning the failures, the administration kept pointing fingers at Donald Trump and other outside forces. That's when critics started asking, if you can't protect your own residents, what exactly are you leading? And this isn't an isolated issue. California has been hit with rolling blackouts, water shortages, and a homelessness crisis so bad it feels like a second city has risen in tents. Yet through it all, Newsom carries himself like the golden boy of progressive politics. His image is more sculpted than marble, but behind it is a state where people are leaving in record numbers. What you see on TV doesn't match what you experience living there. And that gap between appearance and reality is exactly what Gibson and Tyrus ripped apart.
Absolutely no adequate excuse the governor or mayor can make for this gross mismanagement and failure to preemptively deal with what they knew was coming. Newsom, since he's been in, whatever you call it, office, has brought us nothing but rampant crime, acute homelessness, horrendous inflation. He's made it untenable for people to make a living here.
Mel Gibson didn't step into this debate as just another celebrity with an opinion. He lived through the disaster. His Malibu home was destroyed in the fires, the same fires Californians say were made worse by years of neglected forest management and political inaction. For him, the failures were personal. And when someone's home burns down because of leadership that couldn't get its act together, they don't forget. Gibson mocked the governor's habit of looking good while his state falls apart, pointing out how he practices his serious expressions like a soap opera audition. For a man who has played both heroes and villains on screen, Gibson recognized a character who was playing president before even earning the part. It also matters that Gibson isn't a political rival. He's not trying to win office. He's just a man with a platform who lost his home and had enough.
It looked to me like he was negotiating with a deaf prostitute. If you go back and watch the tape,
Yes!
he literally goes, I want some of this, then you do some of this, and I'll do some of that back to you, and then we'll do this, and then I'll pay you, and then we'll do it again.
True.
And then she kept saying, no. Okay, how about this? You do this one first, then we do this one, then we give a little back and forth.
Tyrus has built his entire on-air persona on being allergic to nonsense, and that style came through when he set his sights on Gavin Newsom. One of his sharpest comparisons hit right at the heart of Newsom's leadership. Tyrus said, California under Newsom runs like a broken amusement park. The tickets are overpriced, the rides don't work, the bathrooms are locked, and yet the parking still costs $50. It's a picture anyone can understand. You expect fun, safety, and value when you walk into a theme park, just like you expect good governance when you live in a state. Instead, you get dysfunction wrapped in a shiny brochure. And for Californians paying sky-high taxes and living costs, the comparison felt extremely accurate. Tyrus also went after the image. Where Gibson mocked Newsom's phony presidential act, Tyrus pointed to the details that made it worse. His hair, his expressions, the way he carried himself like a daytime soap opera star instead of a governor. When leadership collapses, appearance matters less, yet Newsom seemed more concerned about keeping his smile perfect than fixing the problems piling up in his state. Tyrus knew that cutting through the vanity exposed the hollowness behind it.
And don't you love the way he says, fierce?
Yeah.
We've got to be fierce. We
That's from watching
fiercely
a
have
lot
to
of
go up to
RuPaul.
President Trump and spank him. Gotta bully him. I gotta get my hands on him. I'm gonna Greco-Roman him to the ground. But the creepiest thing that he said besides all that, a teacher, the worst thing for a teacher to do is watch a bully?
Californians don't need more speeches. They need results. When Tyrus piled on with blunt humor, he tapped into the frustration of people who are tired of watching their state fall apart, while the governor acts like he's ready to audition for higher office. His delivery was less about insults and more about making the failures impossible to ignore. That's what made this more than just entertainment. When two figures like Gibson and Tyrus speak out, it becomes a reality check. Neither of them are rival politicians trying to score points. They sounded like voices of people on the outside, finally saying what others were afraid to say out loud.
If you were gonna go after someone, man to man, hit him with a fact, hit him with something real.
Yes.
You don't have anything. And here's the cold part. If Elon called him up and said, hey, Tim, you want a job? He would take it. Because that's what spineless, he would, and when he was questioned, he was like, I was just holding him in account. You know, I respect him and I'm so happy to be working for X.
Gavin Newsom has spent the last few years trying to frame himself as the next Democratic star. He's been traveling the country, debating national figures, and testing the waters for a White House run. His speeches, his posture, even the way he presents himself on TV all point to a man rehearsing for the presidency. But that effort comes with a risk. When your image is built on polish and performance, it doesn't take much to break the illusion. That's exactly what happened here. Instead of looking like a strong leader ready for the big stage, Newsom came off like someone auditioning for a part he wasn't meant to play. The irony couldn't be sharper. While he wanted to project seriousness and control, Gibson and Tyrus flipped the script and turned him into a punchline. He wasn't the governor with big ambitions anymore, he was a meme. The kind of character people laugh at rather than rally behind. And that's the damage. Political rivals can be debated, policy arguments can be spun, but when cultural voices reduce you to comic relief, it sticks in a way statistics never do. Gavin Newsom's national ambitions depend on looking more like California's governor. Yet this moment showed him looking small, exposed, and unprepared for the scrutiny that comes with the bigger stage.
Walt says demonize Musk more.
It's okay in America to be successful. We should celebrate that. and people are successful. What my beef is, once you get successful, don't be a greedy bastard and not pay your taxes. Don't do that. And let those...
In the end, Gibson and Tyrus proved that sometimes humor cuts deeper than a stack of policy arguments. They didn't need charts or debates. They just needed a few sharp words to show the cracks in his image. What was left wasn't the smooth operator Newsom's team had been selling. It was the bare reality of a leader struggling to live up to his own hype. So here's the question. Is this the moment his ambitions truly unravel, or will he brush it off and keep smiling for the cameras? If you want more sharp breakdowns of cultural and political clashes like this, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.